I'm Meltdownboy, and today I want to talk to you about Marathon. And, I just want to talk about how I love the design of this game and how much fun this game is. I know there's a lot of discourse about will this game keep people there in the long run, and I think the main thing I keep coming back to is the art style, and genuinely this game is really addictive. This video has taken a while just because of me just being addicted with playing this game and getting so invested in the story, which I expected going into it. There was like a week before the the game came out where I was just so focused on learning all the lore and all the faction, all the runner shells and everything. And then when it finally came time to play it, where I just went, fuck it. Since I've been just sort of scrolling Etsy for any merch, you could say, since then, because I just really love the aesthetic and the world. If you don't know what Marathon is, it's a PvPvE extraction shooter made by Bungie, the same people that made Destiny and also the original Halo. And of course they're incredibly talented people. It's set on like a future world where we've become spacefaring and we've colonized planets, and we specifically gone to this other system which is the Tau Ceti system, and gone to this one planet called Tau Ceti, in which they sent the Marathon there, and then when it got to Tau Ceti, they lost contact, and so suddenly there's a distress signal been mysteriously sent that says they are waiting for us in the heavens, or whatever it says. They send these Ghost in the Shell type cyborgs which have digitized consciousness, and they put you, basically you get your consciousness digitized. You have the Destroyer, you got the Recon, you got the Assassin, you got the Vandal. You've also got the Triage and Thief. But you've also got the Rook, which is the solo player, which is also just sort of a repurposed UESC group, which the UESC is kind of just the government of Earth that sort of sent this ship there, and then it's all gone to shit, so they're sort of we need to go salvage a little bit of our reputation and figure out why it's there, and they just sort of have a very authoritative presence on Tau Ceti, and so you as a runner will deploy down, typically in a squad of 3, and you'll go loot buildings, defeat UESC drones, and then also fight other runners. I love the aesthetic of it. There's so many, even just the skins in the shop look really cool, unlike anything I've ever seen in a video game. Again, the game is hugely addictive, just going run after run after run. And surprising, at first the sort of feeling, the pain of losing all my stuff really does hit home, and then the more I kept playing, the more I sort of realized it's more about the experience of what Tau Ceti is. Speaking of Tau Ceti, there's a certain sci-fi piece of media that's recently released that features a planet called Tau Ceti. I wonder what it's called. I thought it was so incredible when I watched Hail Mary, and this was peak me getting obsessed with the game as well. The fact that while watching it they said Tau Ceti, and I literally turned to my girlfriend and went, that's the planet from Marathon, and I just thought that was so cool. Similarly, both planets are so beautiful and so interesting. I think I want to get into sort of the minutiae of sort of why I love this game, and why I think this game will keep me playing, and I think it will keep the people this fan base that's formed around this game, which has an incredible sense of humor, and also, despite the game being mostly about PvP, you can really see them sort of being cooperative, and I like that they're adding a new game mode to sort of be more team-based, and there's a Mercy revive kit where you can revive downed enemies, which I think is really fun. I like them giving you the chance to at least explore that sort of option, I suppose. They said it even in their like press release of like loot goblins is the best way I could describe. There's just such an obsession with like, oh my gosh, what about this piece of loot? What about this? You know, it really does feel like this planet is a kill or be killed world, and I really love that. Even that's reflected in sort of like, I although there is like a sort of community and everyone is working together, especially when they were trying to get into the Cryo Archive on the marathon. I still love that there's still this sort of rivalry aspect to it even then. I love all the factions. I think the thing that I've really loved is not only getting all the free skins from each faction, but also just in general getting to know each faction and understand each individual stories and why they're there to to figure out what happened to the marathon, of course, but sort of like, for example, Traxxas, which is this industrial, they do all the industry and they had such a huge stake in the marathon ship. I love the idea that each faction has a different reason to be there, and that's what I think got me hooked when I started playing, and it's what I think I wish I'd known going into the playtest or the server slam. I think the ability to do all these like quests in the server slam really gives it purpose, really gives it like momentum, and even then just going in, looting, killing everyone is really fun. I think even dying and losing on your loot is incredible. Killing other runners is incredibly satisfying. I think that, again, it goes back to why I love this game so much, which is the design of everything, even down to the like skeleton crosshair saying, hey, you've killed a runner, or you've downed a runner, or even downed a USC drone. Everything looks fantastic. I think even there's been a bunch of gripe about the menus being weird. I watched a video recently of someone talking about how the Battlefield 6, and I love Battlefield 6, even with the fact that it doesn't have as many maps in recent updates. The night vision bit's really cool. And the new stuff that they're adding with the gas masks is awesome. Reminds me of Battlefield 1. That aside, the fact that it's the menu is just scrolling down endlessly it's just so typical, and also just that game deserved something more tactical or something more interesting than just scrolling. And I think it's difficult to find the game mode you want sometimes. Whereas with this, everything's sort of optimized, and it's Bungie. They know how to make a UI. There's people who have probably playtested the AI in Marathon to a fine T. You just sort of have to learn it. I think there's a lot of satisfaction in learning how things work, and in general it just looks so nice that you just sort of, after a while, you get used to everything, and the UI just really fits within this world. I think it kind of makes you feel like you are sort of this like digitized consciousness, just sort of upgrading yourself, and they've shown some images of like what that looks like, where there are servers just in a room, which it is terrifying, and I think I'd love to see them show off more about what that's looks like. Maybe have like some storylines where with Arachne or something, where you're having to, maybe they add a new faction where it's runners that have gone crazy, and you have to hunt them down, and then you can justify it being bots as runners, and that look distinctly different. Maybe they've gone crazy and they've broken bits off of their body, which I think would genuinely be really cool. I just want them to explore that. I think everyone's so intrigued about the marathon, and maybe after a while they add this like engrossing sort of rampancy, or runners going crazy. It just looks awesome. That you can't deny that, like, things, for example, like the marathon being the hollowed out moon of Mars is awesome, and an incredible design decision, and the fact that it's revealed to like be the sword, like it's designed to look like a sword. If you were to get rid of all the moon stuff on it, it looks like a sword, like the marathon sword that it's named after. It really strikes a a solid bit of the right itch in your brain where you're just like, oh, I'll do another run, and then it just turns into like a million more runs as you keep trying, keep failing. Yeah, this is really interesting. It sounds dumb, but I don't play Fortnite anymore. I think it hasn't been great for the gaming industry as a whole, but it does remind me quite a bit of how I would play, which sounds sad actually in retrospect, but it's just sort of when I initially played Fortnite, I would just be jumping in, dying, jumping in, and just sort of learning everything of how to play for the first time. And that's what this reminds me of. Just sort of that trial and error and learn all the mechanics from scratch is incredible. Even when you're with a squad, it doesn't necessarily feel like you're a team. I think it really feels like a team when you're playing as a support character, just healing everyone. But other than that, there's a lot of times when I'm playing with a group and we do sort of synergize, but I think there's a lot of the time there'll be one, especially when you're playing with randos. I'd like to join like a Discord group, like how I have it with my Helldivers group that I have. I'll do a video on that. It's a wonderful community. Yeah, a lot of the time I'll just have someone like off on the other side, and I'll have to put my mic on, being like, hey guys, there's runners near me. I might get absolutely demolished. But even then, I think those sort of learning experiences, I've seen so many like clips of just people being smart cookies, quite frankly, when like using like the thief's drone with like with the claymores, and I've seen so many really smart, incredible plays with the rook, which has kind of inspired me to try out the rook a bit more. I think the Vandal's my favorite character in that. I think it just really screams Alberto Mioglo. I talked about him when I did my art book video, but he's sort of the original like sort of art direction behind the Spider-Verse movies, and he's done a bunch of stuff with Love, Death, Robots and other things. So and he did the short film cinematic a year ago, which is why I love the idea of runners going crazy. His design is so perfect with that's what the Vandal is. It's just Alberto Mioglo just sort of having a fun time, I suppose. So, and then the thief is incredible. You see her all over the marketing and the collector's edition, which I wanted to get. I think that's the best collector's edition I've seen in a long time. It just looks amazing. I love the idea that it's the design process of a shell is made of the box. I usually don't tend to like the idea of the box being part of the collector's edition package, but I think they make it worth it, which I think is really cool. The statue is amazing. The fact you get the little worm and everything is so cool. But once again, I think the story is awesome. Why all the factions are there, like I said earlier. But I think the idea that just the aesthetic of all of them, I think all the cutscenes that you get to see is kind of the intrinsic thing that keeps you going. It's so incredible because it's tied into progression of your gear, and also you get some story. It's like a perfect little, you get 2-for-1 deal of progression in a video game and also just story, and they've done that as perfectly as they could do it. I think the idea of Concord trying to give you a cutscene a week was not the way to go. I think this was the way to go, where it's it's connected to progression and it feels earned, and you feel like you're digging for secrets on this planet, and I love the aesthetic of this. I've said it so many times, but I've said before that I love the idea of a unfinished designs or messy things, which is why I love Mida, by the way. Mida is also an incredible design, very Spider-Verse. Everything is just so clean, so organized, so colorful, so poppy, but also so corporate and so specific, and I've never seen a game like this. I would happily get so much merch from this to just wear or show. I've always tried, I changed my phone wallpaper to be just the some miscellaneous art that I found from Discord servers and whatnot. because I think I'm obsessed with the way everything looks in this game, even from the menus. So everything's so cool. Recently, I had a mission where I ran away from. I ran to exfil, which is the extraction, the way you get out, like finish a mission. Like I just, as the Vandal, like ran towards it, left my team behind, and then just jumped in while other people were exfilling, and they were like, "What's going on? Why is this random person here?" They shut me down, but but I still exfilled. I felt so bad about leaving my team behind, but I just it was just so funny that I up and left them. I really want to know what they thought at the time, and there was that time I audibly said like, "Recon, can you scan the area?" And then they scanned the area, and then I saw that there were enemies there. I just thought, why not? I would run, and then I ended up exfilling, so that was quite fun. It's just so fun just killing, looting, learning about the story. I really love Arachne. I really love so Kiguchi is the really incredible. I like the design of that. I didn't expect the worm to be the mascot for that faction. The tiger that's in Traxxas, all of them are just so cool, and I really just can't wait to see more of it. I haven't got to the marathon ship yet. I'm just taking my time for it, coming out like through it as I go, and just sort of taking my own time with it, and eventually I'll get to the marathon, and I'm looking so forward to being able to fight a compiler, or eventually fight a compiler and you know, experience what the Cryo Archive is like. It seems like it's an absolute nightmare, but in general I want the collector's edition. I want any piece of merch. I want to really live in this world. I recently watched Ghost in the Shell, as in like, because I loved the idea of these robots so much. So safe to say I'm obsessed. You know, as of recently, there's so much space stuff going on. Science fiction and space has really taken over my brain. So it's awesome. I think that game looks incredible, and you know, I think I want to make more videos about it. But I think if you're on the fence about it, just look at the style of the game, look at the gameplay. I think more people will like it. It's just I think they're not sure about the extraction shooter of it all. But trust me, like I think I've talked to someone about it and said how like they were worried about like the fighting other people and the competitiveness of it. But I've rarely seen that many runners in my gameplay. I think I haven't seen that many runners. It's mostly just UESC. It's not as competitive as I thought, and you can find more fun things to do in it other than just killing. Don't let the genre of the game hold you back from finding something fun, and if you're really obsessed with it like I was, I'd say just go for it. If you can afford getting this game at this current moment, then I encourage you to do so. It's just really satisfying aesthetically. The audio is really nice, and again the music's really nice. I want to get the vinyl that they announced, as you know from my love of my record player and whatnot. But yeah, just if you can, I definitely think you should check it out. I'd love to see like inspire you guys to play it and join me searching for answers on Telseti. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a most triumphant day.